Right now, every time you use ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, you're feeding a machine learning model with your words, and the company training that model owns a piece of what you just said. I know that sounds dramatic, but stick with me, because what's actually happening behind the scenes is way more interesting than the headline. So here's the thing. AI models don't just appear out of thin air. They're trained on massive amounts of text, images, code, and data scraped from the internet, from user inputs, from everywhere. And right now, there's this massive race between OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, Meta, and a dozen other companies to build the biggest, smartest model possible. That competition is brutal. And one of the fastest ways to make your model better is to get more training data. Better data, more data, different kinds of data. The problem is, a lot of that data is coming from you. When you paste something into ChatGPT, when you ask Claude a question, when you upload a document to Gemini, that input is being logged. And depending on the terms of service you probably didn't read, that data might be used to train the next version of that model. OpenAI does this. Google does this. Anthropic has been more cautious, but they still collect it. And here's where it gets scary. If you're a company using these tools, you might be accidentally leaking proprietary code, client information, trade secrets, or sensitive details straight into a model that your competitors can also access. But, and this is the important part, there's actually a really smart system protecting you. It's not perfect, but it's way more sophisticated than most people realize. Let me break down how it works. First, there's data anonymization. When a company collects your input, they're supposed to strip out personally identifiable information before it goes into the training pipeline. Your name, your email, your phone number, those get removed or hashed so the model learns from the patterns in your language, not your identity. It's not foolproof. Researchers have shown you can sometimes reverse engineer who wrote something if you're clever. But it's a real layer of protection. Second, there's differential privacy. This is the one that actually blew my mind when I learned how it works. The idea is simple but elegant. You add a tiny amount of random noise to the data before it's used for training. So the model learns from a slightly fuzzy version of your input, not the exact thing you said. The fuzz is so small that the model still learns the pattern. It still gets useful signal, but it's mathematically impossible to extract your exact original data from the trained model. It's like teaching someone to paint by showing them a photo that's slightly out of focus. They still learn to paint, but they can't recreate the exact photo from memory. Anthropic uses this. OpenAI is moving toward it, and it actually works. Third, there's the legal layer. Most AI companies now have terms that say they won't use enterprise or business data for training without explicit consent. If you're a company with a paid plan, you can usually opt out of data training entirely. Google did this for Workspace. OpenAI did it for ChatGPT Plus and their API. Anthropic made it the default. So if you're using Claude or ChatGPT through a business account, your data is not automatically going into the next model. That's a huge deal, and a lot of people don't know it. But here's where the war part comes in. Because these companies are in an arms race, there's enormous pressure to grab as much training data as possible, and that pressure creates corners that get cut. Some companies have been caught using data they shouldn't have. Meta trained their AI on public Facebook posts without explicit consent. And there's this whole gray area with web scraping. Companies are vacuuming up everything on the internet to train models, and the legal status of that is still being fought out in courts. The stakes are insane. A model trained on better data wins. A model that wins makes money. So the incentive to collect and use data aggressively is real. That's also why regulation is starting to tighten. The EU's AI Act has requirements around data handling. California has privacy laws. China has rules about what data can leave the country. And these laws are actually pushing companies to invest in better privacy tech, because the cost of getting caught is getting higher. Here's what you should actually do about this. If you're a regular person using these tools casually, the risk is pretty low. You're probably not leaking anything that would destroy your life if it ended up in a training set. But if you're a company, or if you work with sensitive information, you need to know your options. Most major AI platforms now let you disable training on your data. Use that option. If you're using an open source model or running something locally, your data never leaves your machine. That's the most private option, but it's also slower and more complicated. And if you're just curious about which company is being most careful with your data, Anthropic is genuinely leading here. They don't train on user data by default. They use differential privacy in their research, and they've been transparent about it. OpenAI is getting better, but still collecting a lot. Google is a mixed bag because they have so many products and so much existing data. Meta is the least transparent. The real thing to understand is that this data protection system exists because of pressure, regulatory pressure, legal pressure, and pressure from users who got mad about privacy. It's not because these companies woke up and decided to be nice. It's because protecting data has become a competitive advantage. The company that can credibly say your data is safe is winning customers. And that's actually how capitalism is supposed to work. So yeah, the model war is real. And yeah, your data is valuable. But the protections are real too, and they're getting better. You just have to know where to look and what to ask for. If you want to actually keep up with this stuff without drowning in hype and half-truths, subscribe. I break down one of these every few days, and I promise I'll never make you feel stupid for not knowing it already.